Hello everybody, welcome into another lesson. Today we are going to review multiplying and dividing integers. So again, my goal is to review how to do that, like, for example, multiplying, dividing negative numbers and positive together, and so on. My goal though is not to reteach it. If you are struggling with it, please check out my videos on that towards the end of the Basic Math 2 playlist about multiplying and dividing real numbers, where I cover it more in depth. But today is a review of that. So let's go ahead and get started with our first one here. Yikes. I think I kicked something. No, I think we're good. Alright. So we got negative 3 times 4. Negative 3 times 4, well, anytime you have a negative times a positive, you get a negative result. So negative 3 times 4 is simply negative 12. Because it would be a negative result since it's the negative times a positive. So you get negative 12. Alright, let's switch to a different color here. How about... Alright, we have 4 times negative 8. Well, we have a positive times a negative, which will generate a negative result, which will give you negative 32. That would be your answer to 4 times negative 8 would be negative 32. Let's see here. We have 6 times 19. 6 times 19. Well, we have a positive times a positive, so that'll give you a positive. If you have a positive times a positive, you get a positive. Now let me just look at my calculator here to see what that would be. That would be positive 114, or just simply 114. That's what you would get. By the way, you're welcome to use your calculator for these, especially since we covered it in basic math, how to do it without a calculator. So, feel free to use your calculator. Alright, now here we have negative 15 times negative 3. So we got negative 15 times negative 3. Well, you have a negative times a negative, which means it's going to be positive. So 15 times 3, well, that's 45. So your answer to this would be 45. Positive 45, however you want to say it. So if this is coming back to you, then that's good. Negative times a negative. Now we have, let's see here. We have negative 7 times negative 8 times negative 3. So we have a triple multiplication problem. So first let's take care of the order of the signs. Let's do the signs. We have negative times a negative, which would be positive, right? Negative times negative is positive. But then you have these two would make it positive, which would be positive times a negative. A positive times a negative is a negative. So now we have a negative. So, and something else to remember, if it's an even number of negative signs, such as 2 or 4 or 6 of them, even number of negative signs, you'll get an even number. You'll get a positive number. If it's an odd number of negative signs, such as 1, 3, 5, 7 negative signs, you're going to get a negative result. So, let's do this here. So, before I put that in, let's break this down here. Negative 7 times negative 8 is positive 56. You have positive 56 times negative 3, which therefore yields to a negative. Let's figure out 56 times 3. You would get negative 168 for your answer. So, negative times negative times negative equals negative. So that's how we got negative 168. Okay. we're going to have 2 times negative 8 times negative 9 times 10. So let's go ahead and do the multiplication here. We have 4 pieces of the multiplication problem. 2 times negative 8, well, that's negative 16. Then we're going to have times negative 9 times 10. Well, this time you have a negative times a negative, which would equal positive. So let's go ahead and do 16 times 9. That would be 144 times 10, which has reduced down to the simple multiplication problem of 144 times 10. Your answer would be 1,440. So just remember that a positive times a positive obviously is a positive. A negative times a negative is also a positive. And then a positive times a negative or a negative times a positive, both of those would be negative. Alright, now I said we throw in a few variable equations with this, so let's do so. Say you have something like negative 5 times 7x. So you got negative 5 times 7x. Well, you have a negative times a positive, you're going to get a negative. 5 times 7, that's 35. Then times x, you'll just get negative 35x. The x just kind of goes along for the ride, you would get negative 35x. Let's do another. You'll have negative 8 times 12y. So we got negative 8 times 12y. Well, you have a negative times a positive. That's going to be a negative. So you have negative. 8 times 12 is 96. And then that's times y. So you'll have negative 96y. So that would be your answer, is negative 96y. Because it's 8 times 12 times y with a negative sign hanging out there. So negative 96y would be your answer. Alright. How about negative 7s times negative 8t? Negative 7s times negative 8t. Well, you have a negative times a negative, which means it's a positive. So we're good on that. We are good on that, then it'll be positive. So just do 7 times 8 would be 56. Then you have times s times t. So times s times t is 56 st. That would be your answer. So you took negative 7 times negative 8, which made positive 56. Then you had times s times t. So you got 56 st. That's how we arrived at that result. Alright, negative 12m times negative 9n. Well, you got a negative times a negative, which means it'll be positive. So now we can just do 12 times 9. Well, that's 108. Then you have times n, so that'd be mn. You'd have 108 mn. That would be your answer, 108 mn. Since you're multiplying times n and n. So you got 108 mn. Alright, how about this one? Negative 6j times 3 times 5k. So we got negative 6j times 3 times 5k. Well, this is a 3-part multiplication problem, so let's go ahead and do the first step. you have negative 6j times 3. Well, negative 6 times 3 is negative 18 times j, which would give you negative 18j times the 5k. So yeah, negative 6 times 3 is negative 18 times j. Then you'll have all that times 5k. So now what you got to do is take negative 18 times 5, which would give you negative 90 times j times k. So you would get negative 90 jk. Your answer would be negative 90 jk. So whenever you're multiplying with variables, if you have variables like we have here, those just go along for the ride because they're being multiplied. So you'd have negative 90 jk. Alright. In future lessons, I'll show you what to do with adding, subtracting them and stuff, but for now, we're going to just do what we're doing today. Alright, let's do a few division problems here. Say we have 54 divided by 9. Well, this is a classic division problem. You just have a positive divided by a positive. That's going to give you a positive. So 54 divided by 9, that's 6. Your answer would be 6 for that. Easy enough, right? That's just your classic everyday addition problem. Alright, now let's say we have something like negative 27 divided by negative 9. Well, it's important to understand that whenever you have a negative divided by a negative, you will get a positive. So now that we know the answer is going to be positive, just worry about 27 divided by 9, you get 3. So the answer to this would be positive 3. Okay. Now let's say we have negative 77 divided by 7. So you have negative 77 divided by 7. Well, you have a negative divided by a positive. That's going to give you a negative. So now that we know it's going to be negative, worry about 77 divided by 7. That'll be 11. So your answer is negative 11. That would be the answer you get, negative 11. Alright, how about 600 divided by negative 20? Because remember, a fraction also is division, so get used to seeing that notation for division. 600 divided by negative 20. It's important to understand that, of course, you have a positive divided by a negative, you're going to get a negative. So the answer is definitely going to be negative. Now, what is the number? Worry about 600 divided by 20 now. Well, that would give you 30. So 600 divided by negative 20 is therefore negative 30. That's the answer you would get. So far, so good, right? Okay. Let's see here. We're going to do some of these now where we evaluate each expression if this case x equals negative 85. So we have x equal to negative 85. The equation is x divided by negative 5. What does that equal? That's the expression. Is x divided by negative 5. They tell you that x equals negative 85, so all you got to do is substitute that in. You would get negative 85, you substitute that in for x, divided by negative 5. Well, you have a negative divided by a negative, which means it's going to be positive. So now that we know it's positive, just focus on 85 divided by 5, you should get 17. So your answer to this would be positive 17. All right, what's the next one? Let's see, if m equals -9. So we got an equation where m is going to equal -9. You will have 108 divided by m. So we got to solve the expression of 108 divided by m. Well, they tell you m equals -9, so all you got to do is stick in -9 where you see m. So you would get 108 divided by -9. Okay? Since we've done the substitution, that's what we get, 108 divided by -9. Now, we have a positive divided by a negative, which means the answer is going to be negative. So now that we've established we're going to get a negative answer, we put the negative sign out. Now just focus on 108 divided by 9, which would be 12. So your answer to this is -12. It often helps to first establish the nature of the solution, whether it's going to be positive or negative. Then you could just throw out your sign, and then just simply figure out what the numbers are. So that's how we get to -12. Any others I would like to do? Alright, let's see. If C equals -63 and D equals -7. So we got the expression here, C over D. We have C over D. That's the expression they want you to solve. Well, they tell you C equals -63 and D equals -7. So wherever you see C, you'll put in -63 over wherever you see D, you'll have -7. Well, right away, we have a negative divided by a negative, which tells you the expression, the answer to this expression is going to be positive. So now that we know it's going to be positive, just focus on 63 divided by 7, you'll get 9. So yes, the answer to this expression is 9. Okay, I got one more I'd like to do here. Just one more. Let's see, if A equals -12 and B equals -8. Alright. They want you to evaluate the expression AB divided by 6. We will have AB divided by 6. Well, it's important to know that AB is A times B. So wherever you see each variable, you substitute those values in. A is -12. You'll have -12 times the B, which is -8, divided by 6. Okay. Now, what you're going to have here, you have multiplication and division. According to the order of operations, they get the same priority, so you'll just go from left to right. So let's start there. Negative times a negative is a positive, so 12 times 8 is 96. you will be left with 96 divided by 6, which, if I am not mistaken, is going to be 16. I'm going to double check my work here, but I'm pretty sure that's 16. 96 divided by 6. Yep, it is 16. So, by solving that symbol of order of operations, you got 16. So really, it's all about knowing positive times negative, positive times positive, negative times negative, negative divided by negative, positive divided by positive, negative divided by positive, so on, and then knowing your order of operations and knowing how to substitute numbers in for variables. If you do that, you got this. So that concludes our review of the 4 operations of integers. Yesterday, I reviewed addition and subtraction of integers. Today, we did multiplication and division of integers. So that concludes the review. And again, please, if you're unsure how to do it still, please go back to my Basic Math 2 lessons towards the end of the playlist and watch adding real numbers, subtracting real numbers, multiplying real numbers, and dividing real numbers. Those videos should definitely help you. So the next lesson, we're going to deal more with the coordinate system, more with plotting points and how to do that like we did the other day in the two-dimensional coordinate system. So I hope everybody has a good day. Take care.